Fans, I am back here and we're ready for action, but first, before we go to the ring, I've got Baron Victor Krause, former APW television champion and the philosophical leader of the Axis of Evil, and I understand that you have a little something to do with this match coming up here.
You know, Joe, I've been very fortunate in my life. I got to sit under the learning tree of Jimmy Valiant, but not only that, I got to sit under the learning tree of the Cuban Assassin. And last week, I called Jimmy and I asked him what I needed to do to regain my title, and he told me to bring my mean streak back, and you guys saw what I did to Opie Kessler. This week, I called Cuban. I said, Cuban, I need a new soldier for my Axis of Evil. I don't know what to do. Everyone else has their back covered, but I stand alone. And Cuban said, you know, you don't need a soldier. You need a mercenary. The Cuban Mercenary.
The Cuban Mercenary. Now, I'm familiar with that. This man is related, is the nephew of the Cuban Assassin. You mean to tell me you're bringing him here?
Yeah, here he is. This is legacy. This man right here, the nephew of the Cuban Assassin, one of the greatest wrestlers to ever come out of Cuba, if not the greatest. This legacy tonight, though, must face a test to earn their way into the Axis of Evil. I think he's ready, but let's find out, Joe Brody.
All right, we're going up to the ring right now. The Cuban Mercenary is going to be taking on an opponent of the choosing of Baron Victor Krause for our first matchup, fans.
All right, fans, we are set to go with a surprise matchup here to open the hour. We've got the Cuban Mercenary, who I am familiar with from several years back, taking on Sheik Abdullah Ahmed, and I am to assume that this is a tryout match for the Cuban Mercenary taking on Sheik Abdullah Ahmed, and this is going to be an interesting matchup because I do know that both of these guys have no interest whatsoever in following the rules. We've got a collar and elbow lock up in the center of the ring here right now, and the Sheik and the Cuban, I tell you, I'm just at a loss for words for this matchup. These guys, these fans here in the Mountain State Sportatorium are not behind either one of these men, and both of them associated at this point with Baron Victor Krause. Baron's Axis of Evil at one time looked like a growing concern here in APW, but it fell off just a little bit. But the return of the Sheik here tonight taking on the Cuban, and this is the Cuban's tryout match for entry into the Axis of Evil. Oh, and there is a big boot to the midsection from the Sheik, and a forearm applied takes the Cuban down. And the Sheik turning his back on the Cuban, and man drives a boot of his own into the midsection in a forearm, letting him know that this thing is a two-way street, and I can give as good as I can get. Once again, collar and elbow lock up in the center of the ring. Sheik takes the arm, cranks it over. Now, don't let it fool you. Both of these men are very capable professional wrestlers and capable of grappling, but both of them prefer the brutal side of the sport of professional wrestling. You're going to not see a lot of Greco-Roman type wrestling in a matchup like this. And there, the Cuban Mercenary with a reversal and goes in on the arm, and he's going to apply some pressure on his own, firing in on the shoulder of the Sheik. And I don't know how long the Sheik's going to stay with this. And a knee to the midsection, stops that big head right into that turnbuckle, stuns the Cuban Mercenary, shot to the solar plexus. Now he's gone to the throat with the choke. Referee Maddie Stonestreet assigned to this matchup. She's putting the count on the Sheik. Big shot right there from the Sheik, and the Cuban stunned in the corner. The Sheik pulls him out. Another boot to the midsection, bends his man over, and here he comes. Big knee lift takes his opponent down, and the Cuban is down right now, driving that forearm across the throat, covers his man, lateral press, hooks the leg, only got a 2. Matty Stonestreet down in perfect position to make the cover here. Both these masked men want to be a part of the Axis of Evil. The Sheik, a member in good standing, the Cuban Mercenary trying his best to get into the matchup, to get into the organization, I suppose, and a scoop and a slam on the Sheik, and the Cuban with a lateral press and a cover, hooks the leg, only manages a 2 count on the Sheik, and the Sheik right to goes to the eyes and a big headbutt right there, stuns his opponent, snap mares him over in the center of the ring. Now he's going to go for that nerve hold. Now, I'm sure he has worked on this with Baron Victor Krause. The Baron very adept at applying this particular hold. Baron working his man over. Cuban works his way back to a vertical base. Looks like he's going to try for a vertical suplex, and up and over a suplex on the Sheik, and covers his man, hooks the leg. Once again, only able to maintain or to get a 2 count on the wily Sheik, who goes to the ropes immediately. Oh, and look at that. Look at that. He caught him right in the throat. Again, a double thrust to the throat right there, working his opponent over. And that headbutt once again. Now he's just opening up on the offense right now. Now the Sheik with that arm draped over the top rope, working on that shoulder and that elbow, putting pressure on it in a way that God never intended. Big, big knife-edge chop right to the top of the head. Follows it up with one to the base of the skull and the neck. Right now he's working his way into that camel clutch. If he can get both of the Mercenary's arms up across his knees, he's going to gain a submission right here. We've seen the Sheik calls this particular version, or his particular version of the camel clutch, calls it the Devil's Triangle. And we've seen him gain many a victory with that, but he's right back to that nerve hold right now. As I mentioned, Baron Krause very adept at this particular hold himself. Drives the Mercenary's head into the canvas, and down goes the Cuban Mercenary at the mercy of Sheik Abdullah Ahmed right now in the ring. And this crowd really not emotionally into this matchup. Both of these men are no fan favorites, but man, they are dealing out the punishment on each other right here on television this week. Matty Stonestreet, you got to get off the throat, Sheik. Cuban firing shots. He's back up. Goes to fire his man off, sends him from one side of the ring to the other. Here he comes in a big clothesline right there and covers his man with a lateral press. And again, a 2 count. And the Sheik cuts him off, goes back to that shot. I'm very interested at this point to know, as you can see, Baron Victor Krause just watching this matchup, seeing what both men have going on here right now. And there comes a big Baron up on the ring apron. And he's in here right now, and he's going to separate the two of them right now. Sheik Ahmed separated from the Cuban Mercenary, and a hand being offered by Baron Victor Krause. They have welcomed the Cuban Mercenary, and this match is going to be a no contest. Referee Matty Stonestreet calls it a no contest, and no winner here to open the hour here. And we've established the fact that the Cuban Mercenary is going to be a full-fledged member moving forward of the Axis of Evil under the tutelage of one Baron Victor Krause. And fans, I've got an interview coming up right now with